Hello and welcome to the APMA podcast. I'm back. It's Lozzy, by the way. For any audio listeners who can't differentiate between our voices, you probably should do by now. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for choosing this podcast. I appreciate it. Now, if you don't really pay attention to the titles of the podcasts and you're a real one, I appreciate you. You're doing God's work. Literally, don't care what the subject is, don't care what the title is, listening to it or I'm watching it. You're a real one. You're an OG. But if you have paid attention to what the title is, then you know what this is going to be about. I don't know if any of you know about, this certain incident that happened last weekend. Not too great. Not too great. We're going to talk about that. I have completely forgot, although you probably have realised, I am by myself. There's no other voices coming through to you, just mine, just my dulcet tones. Stay hydrated, very key, especially as the weather decided to pick up. So I will, by the way, I've got a 1.5 litre bottle of water in my hand, so I may be taking a lot of sips. It's hot. Oh, and the condensation is just pissing all over my fucking leg. That's great. Oh, how are we doing, everyone? I hope everyone's doing all right. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. It's getting hot now. It's getting hot. I've got the fan on full blast on my back. It's like just literally down here to my right. It's just not doing much. I've got the window open, so if you do hear the occasional noise from traffic, that would be why. I'm not recording this on the side of the road, but with that window open, I may as well be. I may as well fucking be in the middle of the road. It's just how it is, unfortunately. This room is so fucking hot, and the room is beyond cold. Some say sub-zero in the winter. So I got like the worst of both. Yeah, just that's not a great combo, that. But anyway, look. Did someone get assassinated possibly at the weekend? I don't know if any of you did any of you see that or hear about it. Unfortunately, it didn't actually, the bullet just grazed the ear. Scary nonetheless. But what we're going to do in this podcast is take you through the events that led up, or the immediate events just before the shots started firing or raining down on the what's it coloured fella. Look, I poke jokes, alright? I'm not having a go at him. I just poke jokes here and there. Don't be like that. I appreciate the man's been shot in the ear. I'm not a monster. I didn't fucking shoot him. Look, we're going to go through the series of events that led up to his shooting. Then, as always, because, we're technically part of that. I'll admit that. We're technically part of the conspiracy community, although there are very different and, I'd say, diverse corners of the community. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories about what actually went down, why it happened, how it happened, and a lot of questions being asked. Now, it would be interesting to see where the audience fall on this particular issue. What side of the fence, or what side of the... There's not two sides, that's the problem. What side of the triangle? That don't make any sense. Just look, there's multiple paths that people have taken with these conspiracies. Where do you see your frame of mind on this one? Let us know down in the comments. But anyway, without beating around the fucking bush, Trump, he got shot in the ear. I feel that is as much disinformation that goes around. I feel like that is safe to say that it's almost 100% certain that Trump got shot in the ear, in his right ear, I think, grazed the right ear. enough to draw blood, obviously. It's a bullet at the end of the day, some astounding analysis done by some of the news channels that I've watched in preparation for this podcast episode. I was going to wait until we could all be on the episode and do this one with Jordan and Dan, but it was going to get into next week, and I was like, well, by that point, someone else will have been shot, so we just need to get it done now, really. Which is why you've got my lovely analysis from just myself. So enjoy that. Now, for obvious reasons, people who are listening won't be able to see the timeline of events and the pictures, and I won't play any videos because we know how that ends. So you're just going to have to deal with my really shoddy explanation of things. But hopefully it gives you a decent enough picture that you're actually able to figure out who's been shot and by who. Anyway, I digress from a digression. Trump's got shot in the ear. He's alive. If you support Trump, that's great. If you kind of wished he was dead, you are out of luck currently. There's no other way to say it. The shooter has absolutely botched this one. Or has he? Maybe it was calculated. We'll get into the conspiracies later on. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up an article from the Associated Press. I will, just because they were detrimental is bad, isn't it? What's like the positive one? The opposite of detrimental. I'd say important or very good material to create a timeline of events because they literally did it for me. But the Associated Press, I'll be linking the article in the description of the video because it was such a good timeline of events and it did help. So, anyway, get it on the screen. How the attempted assassination of former President Trump unfolded. Interesting point. I literally just, said I'm going to go through the timeline of events, and now I'm going to cut myself off and ask a question that no one will know the answer to straight away. I'll have to wait until someone says it in the comments. But anyway, please, if someone does know, why were people still calling Trump president? Like, President Trump has been shot. Is it because he's been a president before? Because he's been president once, so he still keeps that title even after after his term ends? Is that what happens? That seems the most logical thing. But I was getting so confused. I was like, I actually did think for a second I might have caught what Joe Biden has. Because I was like, well, he's not president anymore. I understand, Trump has been shot. I'm assuming it's Donald Trump. But you saying President Trump, that doesn't compute anymore with me. But maybe it is what I said. Maybe you just carry that title for the rest of your life. If you've been president once, you're president always, I guess. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below. So, we're going to go through the timeline. Former President Donald Trump was the target of an assassination attempt at a Pennsylvania rally Saturday that set off panic as a bloody Trump was surrounded by Secret Service and hurried into his vehicle. A former fire chief attending the rally with family was killed, as was the gunman. 2 other people were critically wounded. So, 2 people died, one being the gunman and the former fire chief, who was apparently trying to protect his family, like kind of shielding them, so that's pretty rough. And 2 other people were critically wounded. An AP analysis of more than a dozen videos and photographs from the scene in Butler, Pennsylvania, as well as satellite imagery of the site, shows the shooter was able to get astonishingly close to the stage where the former president spoke. Here's what's known so far about the timeline of the shooting on Saturday, July 13th. So, a lot of people at this rally, Trump's doing his thing. He's got the Make America Great Again hat on. He's bringing it back. I don't know if he ever fucking left it. He's always been on that fucking train. I mean, he's got to. He's got to. It's part of the brand. Who get it? At 6 or 2 minutes past 6 in the afternoon, PM. If you didn't understand what afternoon was, I gave you the PM as the other route you could have taken there to get to the same place. I think ET stands for Eastern Time or extraterrestrial, but as we're talking about time, I think it's Eastern Time. What that is in UK time, I don't know. But it doesn't really matter what time in the UK he was shot, because he wasn't shot in the UK. That's my straight up 15-second analysis of why that doesn't matter. And I kept it in the podcast. There you go. So 2 minutes past 6 PM Eastern Time. Trump takes to the stage. I think that should be. Or maybe it makes sense. I don't know. Trump takes the stage to the strains of God Bless the USA. He waves at the cheering crowd and begins his regular rally speech with spectators in front of him and behind him on risers. Bit rude, isn't it? Don't even face the crowd. Now, I would play that video, but I'm not going to, because it'll probably get claimed. 10 past 6, the same day, believe it or not. Officers were told that a man who was acting suspiciously and pacing near metal detectors was climbing to the roof of a nearby building. Witnesses pointed and shouted at a armed man on a nearby roof. I mean, nothing really shouts suspicious as a fucking guy pacing with a rifle near metal detectors. I mean, I am making the assumption. I mean, it said he was armed. So he must have been armed whilst near the metal detectors. I'm making that jump, not unless he hid the gun. Maybe he stashed it on that roof and then came back to the scene later on to carry out the shooting. I don't know. But anyway, witnesses pointed and shouted at an armed man on a nearby roof. I've seen the videos of that. It's pretty damning in terms of the response of the Secret Service and the police, because it's like multiple people shouting, "There's a bloke." Obviously, they don't use the word bloke. It's like, "There's a man on that roof with a gun." That was terrible. I do apologise. It's my awful American, partially Southern American accent. I do apologise. But yeah, shouting at, "There's a man on the roof with a gun," and the police are like, you're doing that thing where you know exactly where to look, but you just choose not to look. Where? They're like literally pointing at him right in front of you. That building right in front of you. Look up. He's there. Oh, what building? What building? It's not a great showing. It really isn't. But, was it prepared enough for? Who knows? We'll go into that, I'm sure. So I will come back to this image once, maybe twice, because it gives you a good kind of gauge of where things were in place and where Trump was in regards to the shooter, what the buildings were like, where the Secret Service counter snipers were. So yeah, there's a lot of information there, but we'll come back to that. A local officer climbed to the roof, according to the Butler County Sheriff Michael Sloop. A man identified by the FBI as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks turned toward the officer just before the officer dropped down to safety, Sloop said. Butler Township Manager Tom Knights said the officer lost his grip and was not retreating when he fell 8 feet, or 2.4 meters, to the ground. The roof where Crooks lay was an estimated 147 yards, or 135 meters, from where Trump was speaking. Trump turned to his right to point toward border crossing numbers on a screen when 3 shots were heard. I mean, 147 yards is very close. I mean, I don't really deal in yards, but 135 metres. To get that close with a weapon, with the intent to kill, that's fucking close. That's like from here to the end of my street. And I have heard that guns fire further than 135 metres and can kill quite easily at that range. I have heard that. I don't know if you've heard that. So you would have thought, maybe, and I said I'd go back to the image, for people who are listening to this and don't have the visuals, you're just going to have to do your best, alright? I'm sorry. Right. Trump is speaking on this platform here. He's got counter snipers behind him on roofs that look like some like sort of storage or like farm thing. I don't know. They look like storage places, you know, where you store shit, you know, storage. Anyway, so Trump would have been speaking to the people in front and had the people to the side and to the rear. So he was facing away from the counter snipers, the Secret Service. He's facing away from them. Literally, I would say adjacent. Great word. I will take brownie points for that. Adjacent building, 135 metres away. There's a sort of slightly sloped roof, a series of buildings behind it, where the gunman was with the rifle. And he has had a clear as day shot on Trump on stage. It does actually show you the at what point there was a bullet impact on it. Look, I would be guessing, but they've put it on a vehicle, so I'm guessing there is actually a bullet impact on that vehicle, which looks like some sort of JCB or tractor or some shit, I don't know. But yeah, so Trump would have been standing here, the spectators were in front of him, and then there's a building adjacent 135 metres away where the gunman was firing from, and then behind Trump immediately on these on these roofs of the buildings behind, the counter snipers were, but obviously they didn't. Well, they were technically counter snipers because they only fired after the original shooter shot. But there we go. Anyway, and unfortunately, a local officer lost his grip and fell 8 feet. Tough. That's tough. I mean, to be fair, that does sound better, and this is speculation. That does sound better than retreating. You know, you imagine like you get yourself up to the top of the ladder, and you're like, oh, he's got a firearm, and I'm on a ladder. See you later, mate. Just go back down. No, it sounds a lot better. He was trying to be heroic. He was trying to stop the shooting, but then he slipped. Tragic. It sounds a lot better than retreating, doesn't it? It does. So Trump was shot as he turned to his right, I think. But we'll go into that. As the first pop rings out, Trump says, "Oh," and raises his hand to his right ear and looks at it before quickly crouching to the ground behind his lectern. That is the sort of podium thing that he speaks in. He like stands in front of or stands behind. I don't know why not just call it a podium. A lectern apparently is the correct term, but I don't like the word, so I'd rather just use podium. That'd be great. And you can see a picture here of his Secret Service all wearing fucking Ray-Bans and shit, just piling on him, you know, just basically jumping on him. I would be highly surprised if one of them has not got, you know, at least some dick to Trump action going on there. There's got to be a little bit of touch. They're that ferocious in their, you know, their effort to try and shield him from further fire. Anyway, getting past the fact that Trump probably got some dick on arse action going there. Another picture here of one of the counter snipers. Well, actually, there's two of them there. Apparently, and I don't know this for sure, but apparently one of them would be a spotter and the other one would actually do the job of taking the shot. But they are both carrying rifles and have both, capabilities of shooting the rifles. So, I don't know. I don't even know who shot him. I don't know whether it was these guys or a police officer. I'd imagine it would be one of these. I'm sure it will tell us. A couple of pictures of people shielding themselves behind just metal railings. It's the best you can do. It's the best you can do. Secret Service agents rush to the stage and pile atop the former president to shield him as 5 more shots are heard. Rallygoers scream, crouch down and run away. Now, I do apologise. I am probably going to butcher this name. Okay? Now we are all under the same understanding. Don't come for me, please. I know this is a bit sensitive because this person has died. I mean no disrespect. I just can't read that well, as you would have probably deduced from about 4 or 5 minutes in to this podcast. Anyway, Corey Compratore, I don't know. A 50-year-old former fire chief attending the rally is shot and killed. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro said Sunday that Compratore, I don't know, I'm sorry, used his body as a shield to protect his wife and daughter. What a stand-up bloke. What a legend. He's trying to save his family. You cannot really respect the man any more than that for doing that. 2 spectators were critically wounded. Secret Service counter-snipers fire back and fatally wound Crooks. So it was the counter-snipers that ended Crooks. About 1 minute after the shots, video shows Trump getting to his feet and reaching with his right hand towards his face, which was smeared with blood. As Trump stands up, he pumps his right fist to the crowd. I've got to say, this is the thumbnail picture I used for this episode. It goes fucking hard. Like, whatever you think of the man, whether you hate him, despise him, whether I don't know. Doesn't matter what opinion you have of him. You cannot disagree that photo is fucking top tier. Like, that is, I don't know. I didn't even particularly like him that much. I don't even particularly like him, but that does the same thing for me like listening to the Doom soundtrack at the gym. You know what I mean? It's got that same vibe. Fuck it. If Keir Starmer does that, he would have to have his ear shot. That is the downside. But if Keir Starmer does that, I've got a bit more respect for him. But here we are. That picture does go hard. You can't tell me that picture doesn't do bits. That is a crazy picture. And the photographer who took that, absolutely just fucking, you're raking it in. It appears to mouth the word fight twice to supporters, promoting loud cheers and then chants of USA, USA, USA. It's a great chant. To the point, you understand what the chant's about. You understand what the effect of the chant is. It's great. To the point, simple. Everyone understands it. A couple of pictures here of Donald Trump looking bloody. You can see the graze, like a little bit of the chink in the ear where the bullets grazed it, and some very red blood on his face. Just, I don't know, almost like it'd been flicked at his face. Just reaching his mouth. So it looks like it's gone in a bit of his mouth, you know. I bet he tasted his own blood there, and next speech he's like, I tasted my own blood. Very good, very good. Best blood I've ever tasted. That was a really crap impression, I do apologise. But you get the sentiment, right? He's going to gloat about his blood. About 2 minutes after the shots, Trump turns back to the crowd and again raises a fist right before agents put him into a vehicle and take him to a local hospital. I would watch this clip. I do apologise, but it's going to get claimed. I just know it. It's happened before, and it will happen again at some point when I decide to play a clip. But there is a Secret Service agent, I think it's the one in the middle here, who happens to be a woman. Doesn't really matter, but I thought I'd, say what gender she looks like. Because no one knows anymore. No one knows, all right? She has a real hard time with reholstering her weapon. Like she has the pistol out just in case shit goes down, and then you can see she's trying to get it in the holster, but it just doesn't go. So it just looks. A lot of people have pointed out and said that's a bit of incompetency there. But I don't know. Like, as much as you train for these things, it will never, ever, ever be the same as when shit actually happens. So you can imagine, like, she's holding the gun like this, trying to holster it, just got a full Parkinson's on the go. It's not great. 50 minutes past 6. Some say 10 to 7. Others say 50 minutes past 6. Secret Service says the former president is safe. I nearly said shafe. That's not right. A lot of debris there. I'm looking at a picture, just for the audio listeners, of the aftermath of the venue at which this rally was held. Gotta say, I know there's been a shooting here, but what's with the bottles of water on the floor? What's with the bottles? Do we not recycle? Do Republicans not recycle? Fucking hell. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's not that hard. Just get your head down, right? If you got a kid or something, get them under your armpit, run with him, take a bottle in the other hand and put it in the recycling bin. What's sad about that? What is sad about that? Too much rubbish on the floor. That's not good enough. I mean, I didn't actually realise how big that American flag was. That's fucking huge. Oh, wow. They've got literally, does this work if I zoom in on it? No, it makes it so much worse. All these are American flags, and they're all just placed in the same area. They can't have all just been like that. Maybe they're spread out and they've been put back there in that way. I don't know. Anyway, this woman, allegedly, because, again, we don't know, had a bit of trouble reholstering a weapon. And 10 minutes to 7, or 50 minutes past 6, the Secret Service announced that the former president is safe. So that was the timeline of events. Now we need to get into a little bit of the conspiracies. I mean, my personal take on this, not that anyone gives a fuck, but you're here, you're listening or you're watching, so you do to a certain degree, alright? My personal thought is, some guy didn't like Trump, didn't like him enough to go and get a weapon, didn't like him enough to then crawl onto a slanted roof, got the scope, trained on Trump moved at the wrong time, blokes missed him. Well, clipped his ear, but was aiming clearly for a headshot. That's my take. For once, on this podcast, we talk about conspiracies quite a lot, and we have done on multiple episodes, and we'll do in future episodes. It's part of the episodes, the part of the podcast DNA, fuck's sake. I mean, the logo of the podcast is kind of a little bit of a take of the Illuminati eye, the all-seeing eye. So, you know. But for once, I'm going to say there's not a conspiracy here. But I'm willing to be swayed by some of the information that people have. A lot of it, unfortunately, boils down to people just making shit up, as you're about to see. So, without further ado, let's get into the conspiracies. Now, this is an article from Sky News. Don't know if you rate Sky News. I just use them because I really like, and this is such a lame way or lame reason to use it. I really like the fact that their website is automatically dark. I like it. Whether the credibility of their news is any good, I don't know. But I'm reading the article from Sky News. Again, I will put this in the description if you want to read through it yourself. If you really cannot stand me trying to read it for you, because I will make mistakes. It's going to happen. Just be prepared, understand, and give me a bit of slack, all right? Please. Anyway, assassination attempt on Trump is fodder for conspiracy theorists. Donald Trump had barely been bundled off stage before people started claiming the shooting had been staged. It's just one of the conspiracy theories that have flourished across the political spectrum. Because now politics is on the spectrum. You know, everything is. Fucking hell. Another photo there of Trump shouting, fight, with his fist pumping harder than he's ever pumped anything before. I don't know, speculation. Maybe he's pumped something else with his fist a lot harder, I don't know. Within minutes of the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, conspiracy theories began swirling online. An advisor to a Democratic mega-donor, that sounds great, apologized on Sunday after suggesting the incident was staged, a word that was quickly trending as hordes of social media users claimed it was not an assassination attempt at all. Told you I'd fuck it up. I told you I would. Instead, they claimed it was an attempt to boost Trump's election chances. I mean, to be fair to them, it looked fucking good. Like, you now see Trump as a victim or slightly underdog-ish, depending on your political persuasion. But if you're in the silent majority, which is a thing, by the way, if you're in the silent majority, your estimation of Trump has changed just a little bit. Just a little bit. If you don't like him, this event won't make you think he's amazing. But it might just make you think that something's against him, which I would say would help his cause. Anyway, they're claiming that it's an attempt to boost Trump's election chances. At the same time, actor and director Tim Robbins was forced to condemn false claims which drew parallels with one of his films. That is a separate part of this article that we will speak about later on. Mentions of Trump were up 17 times higher than the average in the hours after the shooting, according to Peak Metrics, a cyber firm that tracks online narratives. Conspiracies claiming foreign governments were behind it, or it was a set-up by a political rival, even that it was planned by Republicans themselves, began to flood social media, said Paul Bartel, senior intelligence analyst at Peak Metrics. Everyone was, in quotation marks, just speculating, he said. The speculation spawned a raft of theories from across the political spectrum, ranging from questions about the actions of Secret Service to false claims about the shooter's identity. Staged. No, this is the conspiracy you're probably not surprised to hear, that claims the whole thing was fucking staged. Close to 1 million posts, including the word staged, were made on X in the 24 hours after the attack, social media monitoring tool Talkwalker shows. For some, the image of a defiant and bloody Trump, fist raised against the backdrop of an American flag, seemed too perfectly composed to be a coincidence. And if you look at it, it is a fucking great coincidence. It really does look like a great coincidence. The pictures just fucking say everything. There's nothing else you really need to know. If you're not interested, the picture shows it all, right? If you just know that Trump's been shot, he's survived, and he's defiant in the face of being, the attempt to assassinate him. That's all you need. That's all you need. That'll get you fired up. That would perhaps change your opinion on him, or perhaps make you think a little bit more leniently towards him. More than 92,000 people liked the post claiming the photo was staged. One person put, "Great camera angle, great quality, no Secret Service agent in front of his head covering the wound, conveniently placed US flag." In the comments, another user debunked each point. "Great camera angle, photographers and press get the front row, yes. Great quality, have you held an expensive camera before? No Secret Service agent in the front of his head covering, yes, they stand on the sides. Conveniently placed US flag, yes, it's there for photos." Another person says, "How did the USSS, US Secret Service, allow him to stop and pose for a photo op if there was a real danger?" wrote one user. Meanwhile, Democratic strategist Dimitri Melhorn said in an email to supporters at the weekend there was a possibility this shooting was encouraged and maybe even staged so Trump could get the photos and benefit from the backlash. He backtracked the next day, apologizing for allowing my words to distract from last night's central fact: political violence took yet another innocent American life. Social media bots helped amplify the false claims on platforms including Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, according to an analysis by Israel tech firm Cybra. It found 45% of the accounts using hashtags like fake assassination and stage shooting were inauthentic. That's fucking crazy. 45% of the accounts just spouting absolute shit were deemed inauthentic. Basically bots. Fucking crazy. Craziness. Tim Robbins condemns conspiracy theories linked to his film. People claiming the shooting was staged were quick to draw a parallel with Tim Robbins' 1992 film, Bob Roberts. I've never heard of this, by the way. Don't know if anyone else has. In which a right-wing politician stages an assassination attempt in order to sway the election. In a post on X, Robbins condemned the people making comparisons. He wrote, "What happened yesterday was a real attempt on a presidential candidate's life. Those that are denying the assassination attempt was real are truly in a deranged mindset. A human being was shot yesterday, another killed. They may not be human beings that you agree with politically, but for shame, folks. Get over your blind hatred of these people. They are fellow Americans. This collective hatred is killing our souls and consuming whatever is left of our humanity." And that's a picture of him there, Tim Robbins. So that's like the general sort of motive, understanding, and detail of why people think it's staged. There are other videos that I've seen. Ones that I won't play, one because there's a good chance they're going to get claimed, but two, also, it's just the same shit dressed up differently. Like, there is a guy sat behind Trump in one of the videos, and he is filming Trump, as many people are. It is modern day. There's fucking cameras everywhere because everyone's got a fucking smartphone, right? He's filming Trump, but at not one point he obviously doesn't seem as concerned as the shots rain down. He doesn't try and cower away. He kind of just sits there. My opinion is, I think a lot of people didn't actually realise the shots were shots until like the 5th or 6th shot. I don't know how long into the video he seems unconcerned by the shots, but these are the sort of things. There's another woman who's holding a Biden fucking banner behind Trump. And she was filming also. People are saying that she's involved because she was filming directly at the angle at which the shooter would have been facing from. And because she had a fucking Biden banner. I mean, that is as fucking lazy as it gets in terms of conspiracy theories. Oh, you know, person behind him doesn't support him. They're involved. That proves it is a fucking conspiracy. But I want to just pull something up. So I'm going to get that diagram back up because it's very helpful. Because the idea that this is staged hurts my brain. It does. Just because it seems so improbable. And I understand everything is a conspiracy until it's not. We've said it multiple times and we'll say it again many, many times. But it just doesn't seem like a reality. Maybe we are in the Matrix, but fuck me, how do they pull this off? Let's go back to this diagram. Right. Trump in the middle on the red platform in front of the fucking podium that they call something else, which I can't remember what it's called. The gunman is off to the right of Trump, 135 meters away. Okay? Snipers behind Trump on the buildings, on the roofs. The shooter's on a slant roof, which some people are saying as to why it was harder for the Secret Service snipers to find him because he was on a slanted roof, which does make sense. But at the same time, there's multiple people's videos from their POV shouting at Secret Service and police saying there is a kid, there is a guy, there is a twat on that roof with a gun. They didn't actually use twat, and they probably didn't use kid. But they definitely would have used guy. That's an American saying. But to think, right, let's just go with the thought that this is a planned, the plan is to make it look like Trump was going to get killed. First, I don't know how good a 20-year-old can be at shooting unless they've spent, I would say, a significant amount of time as a child and almost all of their teenage life practicing shooting every day, understanding the weather, effects on bullets, understanding the different types of rounds, the different types of guns that perform differently. Having all that knowledge at 20 years old, I feel, is very unlikely. 2, this motherfucker has got to shoot Trump. Right? Imagine if this is staged by Trump's team or has any involvement by Trump in this. This is the biggest roulette bet I've ever seen in my life. This motherfucker has put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions worth on zero on a roulette table. If this is the plan, because it's so improbably stupid that it would never work. It surely could never work unless it has worked, and we just don't know. The gunman's on that roof, 135 meters away, very close. There's a lot of people would be able to keep someone in the crosshairs at 135 meters, I'm sure. But to shoot someone's ear, and to not shoot the ear that it gets pulverized, to graze the ear to the point where it draws blood, but not enough to immediately concern about his wound. Like, no one there thought he was going to die of his wound to the ear, because it was evidently clear it was not a life-threatening injury. What they were afraid of is him being shot subsequently after the ear, right? But how? I just don't. It's such an implausible situation for the shooter even to be as skilled as it possibly could be. Like, this kid would have to be like Navy SEALs above that level to be able to have the bollocks to say, I can take this shot, Mr. President. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So supposedly in this scenario, Trump has lined up himself, or his team have lined him up in that gunman's crosshairs, in the scope of that gunman, and the gunman has shot and grazed his ear. Also, I'm sure it would have been a thought, however quick the thought would have been, Trump, where he's speaking, is directly, like, the shooter is facing, or Trump's facing away from the shooter. To the right, to Trump's right is where the shooter is. The shooter's line of sight is direct, and in front of the shooter, he has one stand in front of Trump, and then behind Trump there's another stand full of people. Surely there would have been a better angle to do this that would have not caused the death or injury, critical injury of other people. But then, if it did, if no one else was injured but Trump, everyone would be saying it was staged even more. So it is a catch-22, I feel, in that scenario. But it's just implausible to me how that could possibly be staged. Like, ignore everything else. Ignore the snipers, the counter-snipers perhaps not being quick on the ball, right? Ignore the police not being great at answering the concerns of citizens or people at the rally saying that there's a gunman on the fucking roof, right? Ignore that. How is that kid, 20-year-old kid, taking a shot purposefully at Trump to clip his ear? I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that shit. I'm not buying it. That doesn't make sense to me. So for me, that it's just so improbable that I can't believe it for 1 second. So I'm not. All right. If you give me some more information that makes me think otherwise, maybe I'll change my mind. I don't know. Let's go to the second bit of the conspiracy, or second half of the different conspiracy here. Blame on Biden. From establishment Republicans to far-right conspiracy theorists, entirely unsubstantiated conjecture emerged that suggested Joe Biden had laid the groundwork for Saturday's shooting by casting Mr. Trump as a threat to democracy. I'm going to stop you right there. Right, Joe Biden, unfortunately, and this may be a plan, this may be planned out, but Joe Biden does not look like he could negotiate. I don't think he'd be able to negotiate making a coffee or making a tea. No, I don't. I genuinely feel like he would struggle to do day-to-day tasks based on what I've seen of him in media. But maybe media's shaping the image of him for me. I don't know. But when he starts to stutter and says, like, says people's names who aren't even there, and calls that, I know maybe it's just a slip up if it's once, maybe. But he called he called the president of Ukraine Vladimir Putin, who happens to be the very fucking guy who has invaded Ukraine, and the very guy they fought a war for or against for 2 years. That's a bad one. That's a bad one, but it's not the only one. So automatically, this conspiracy theory is on the back foot, in my opinion. Ugh, the fucking condensation from that water is dripping down my leg. It's not pleasant. Not pleasant. I do like bringing a bottle of water up here to keep me hydrated, but that I will just say that's too big. That's too big. Mistakes were made. Anyway, so basically they're saying that people have just produced conjecture online saying that Biden may have had a hand in it because he was framing Trump as a threat to democracy. And what should you do to threats? you should try and snuff them out. Or employ, hire, pay money to a 20-year-old, must be elite sniper to do the job. Or maybe they just, a local like university or, I don't know, some sort of democratic rally just went, anyone want to shoot Trump? Sign up here. They pointed in particular to a comment Mr. Biden made to donors on 8th of July saying it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. Not great, but also not damning. Not damning. I'm sorry. Even if he said putting Trump in the crosshair would not be enough to me go, oh, well, he's clearly fucking done it. It's just, such a low level of consideration. It's like, well, he said that he'd put Trump in the bullseye, so that must mean he canvassed and he got people to employ a 20-year-old to shoot Trump in the fucking head. It's got to be the only reason. 4 weeks, Democrat leaders. I'll read that again because the infliction was awful. It made it sound like it wasn't what I was trying to say. For weeks, Democratic leaders have been fueling ludicrous hysteria that Donald Trump winning re-election would be the end of democracy in America. U.S. Representative Steve Scalise, a Louisiana Republican, wrote on X. Clearly, we've seen far-left lunatics act on violent rhetoric in the past. This incendiary rhetoric must stop. Mr. Trump's pick for vice president, Senator J.D. Vance, said on social media over the weekend that Mr. Biden's earlier rhetoric led directly to the attempted assassination. Republican House member Mike Collins was unequivocal on X, quoting that the president's bullseye comment and declaring Joe Biden sent the orders. Fucking mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. This absolute fucking knuckle-dragging prick has had the gall, the balls, the fucking all-seeing eye confirmation because a fucking, at best, drugged up to the tits, at worst, dementia-riddled fucking president has said the word bullseye and Trump in close enough approximation to each other that this twat has gone on X and said Joe Biden sent the orders for the assassination. That is the fucking level of fucking political spectrum you have to choose from in that country. I mean, fucking hell, it's shit here, but over there, it's a different fucking kettle of fish. Fuck me. That is awful. A community note giving context to the post refutes this, telling readers there is no evidence that Joe Biden was involved in the shooting of Donald Trump because, as of right now, as of this podcast being recorded, there is fuck all evidence. Secret Service under scrutiny. The Secret Service has come under fire for not securing the area where the gunman shot from, around 150 metres from the former president. Some Trump supporters suggested the Secret Service intentionally failed to protect the former president on the White House's orders, a claim for which not a shred of evidence exists. I mean, you can say that the Secret Service were a bit, lax or not great at doing their job. Let's just point to the counter snipers that weren't really proactive in seeing the shooter, to the local enforcement and other Secret Service members not reacting quickly enough or with enough, force or just not enough urgency about the reports of some kid literally carrying a rifle onto a roof. And then you've also got the example of, I know it's probably not a great example, but the person who couldn't, holster their weapon. The training seems, as much as I said before, the training really doesn't matter when the actual thing happens because it could all go to shit anyway. But, yeah, there is an argument there for perhaps some level of, I don't know, negligence from the Secret Service. But not that the Secret Service colluded with the current government to purposely do this. On Monday, images of security agents on a roof were shared widely alongside the same copied phrase claiming that they were looking at the shooter for 42 seconds before he fired. The counter-snipers didn't take the shot at the shooter sniper, the post reads, indicating this points to an inside job by the CIA. Again, something for which there is no evidence. I do fucking I love the community in the conspiracy theory kind of cult that we have, because it is a cult to a certain degree, right? I love it because when there is not an immediate supportive evidence for their position, they then shift it onto someone else. So instead of saying, oh, it was the Secret Service and the government colluding together to do it, they then said it was an inside job by the CIA. And then when there's no proof of that, they then say it's an inside job by the NSA. And then it'll be like an external hit, from someone else. It's I do love it. The day after the shooting, the Secret Service pushed back on claims circulating on social media that Trump's campaign had asked for greater security before Saturday's rally, but had their request rejected. This is absolutely false, agency spokesman Anthony, this is a hard name, Guglielmi, Guglielmi. I fucked it. I realise that. There's no saving it. I'm going to call him Anthony. Or Anthony. Alright. In fact, we added protective resources, technology and capabilities as part of the increased campaign travel tempo. What the fuck does that mean? A reporter for Real Clear Politics claimed on X that Secret Services resources were diverted to Jill Biden's event and away from Trump's because they followed agency protocol applying to Trump as a former president, according to two sources within the Secret Service community. A Secret Service spokesman responded, "We did not divert resources from the former president of the United States. Trump and protection models don't work that way." Misidentifying the suspected shooter. This is the last thing I'll probably talk about, right? This is absolutely unequivocal fucking evidence that people will just say shit to support their view. Because, as we're probably about to find out, I don't know if it goes into it, we'll find out. But, immediately after the shooting happened, everyone was asking, who's the shooter? Who's the shooter? Who's the shooter? And they were like, some people would describe him as a Republican. And other people were saying, no, he's a Democratic fucking plant. He's there to assassinate the fucking president. It's like, you don't know, just don't believe anyone, right? Don't believe anyone until all the facts have come out. And I realised that not all the facts always come out until years and years later. But don't just sit there on X and start just spouting shit. Before authorities identified the shooter, photos of two different people circulated widely online, falsely identifying them as the shooter. An Italian sports journalist called Marco Violi was falsely named as the suspect in a now deleted post by ex-user Mussolino. I fucked that name probably as well. A photo of him was shared in a post saying Antifa extremist Mark Violets, a translation of Marco Violi, had been identified by the Butler Police Department as the shooter. The post was shared by verified accounts on X, including Wall Street Silver, an account with 1.3 million followers that is known to spread misinformation. Russian propaganda accounts, MAGA and Proud Boy channels on Telegram also spread the claim. Mr. Violi set the record straight on Instagram, saying he was awoken in the middle of the night in Italy by notifications about the totally baseless claims. I strongly deny being involved in this situation, promising to file a complaint against the X accounts that invented the fake news. So, it doesn't go into it. Fair enough. Right. So, it came out not only that this was one of the people, apparently, that was identified as the shooter. Also, they said the shooter was immediately Republican. And when I say they, I mean just people on X. And it all gathers, as you can see from this example. All it takes is someone or a entity such as the Wall Street Silver, which has 1.3 million followers, to tweet, post, doesn't matter where it's going on social media. All they've got to do is reaffirm something else that someone else has said without checking. That's all they've got to do. And they fucking did it. Because that's the way social media works. And especially with X. Because if you are of a big enough size, get enough interactions on your posts, and you, of course, have the premium account, the subscription, you get paid to post on X. So it literally is beneficial for you. Even if long-term it's not, short-term it is. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. Shite. I just want to read on the money-making spins. Because I've not actually read this part. It'll be interesting to see, because I've not seen this angle. Others tried to exploit the event financially. On X, on Sunday morning, an account named Proud Patriots urged Trump supporters to purchase their assassination attempt themed merchandise. Fuck me. You cannot fucking get any more current day than this shit. You've seen that the former president of the United States has been, well, the attempt to assassinate him has been made, failed, and so now you start selling merch about that particular assassination attempt. It's fucking awful, man. First they jail him, now they try to end him, reads the ad for the commemorative Trump assassination attempt trading card. Fuck me. That's awful. Stand strong and show your support. That's awful, man. Is that the... No, it's not the end. That's awful. People are making merch. Making fucking merch about the failed assassination attempt. That's great. That's great. Oh, dear. Well, let's hope that we don't see anyone else potentially assassinated. Just chill out. If you don't like someone, call them a twat on Twitter. And don't let it go any further. That's the limit. That's the limit. But yeah, what drives you to climb, scale, plan, rather successfully, it would seem, to take a pop at the former president of the United States? I don't know. It's got to be hatred. It's got to be hatred. I don't believe the conspiracy that Joe Biden ordered the hit. And I don't believe that it was an inside job for Trump to gain, I'd say, like, basically good press from it. I'm not buying it. Not buying it. What do you guys think? Is there any evidence that you would suggest might be able to sway me either way? Or are you the same as me? Do you just think that some guy, some 20-year-old, clueless little twat decided to take a pop at him and fucked it? Don't know. Audio listeners, I will encourage you. I know you've probably, if you've reached this point, obviously you've listened to the podcast, and I appreciate that. But if you do have the time, the want, or the urge to watch and see the photographs and see the diagram, it will give you a better understanding of where things were placed and how the scene potentially played out. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Up the APMA. Bye-bye for now.